for coming. It's great to see you again.
Thank you for having me. Great to see you as well, Mark.
You bet. How about I let you introduce yourself and your company, Lily AI?
Thanks, Mark. So I'm Ahmed Naiem. On a personal level, I'm married with 3 boys. Eldest going to college next year. Not to date myself here, but professionally, I've been for the last 25 years. I've worked through various industries and various organizations, from very large public companies like DHL to startups in the technology space. And really, in the last 15 years, I've been focused on really growing companies in the technology space, specifically in e-commerce, where we obviously have met and got to know each other. ESW the last 13 years, but overall, I've worked across the entire kind of customer journey from an e-commerce perspective, looking at the site experience, the localization, the payments, all the way through to delivery, customer service, and as well as returns. What brought me interest in Lily, which I'll get into kind of what Lily does, was their area of how they really improve the discovery for the shoppers, the discovery phase, and how they help brands really bridge that gap between merchant speak and consumer speak. So it was a natural evolution for me to kind of look at Lily as the next phase, especially with the momentum that's happening in the AI space. So a little bit about Lily for everybody that's listening, who I've just joined as president of CRO 3 months ago. It's a female-founded retail AI company. The founder story is an interesting one. She could not find easily a flowy beach dress, something that for her was very simple. Ended up talking to over 1,000 women about their experience in trying to find relevant products, and they all overwhelmingly saw a gap in what brands use for inspiration versus what's actually practical for them to find what they're looking for. And that's where the idea of Lily AI was born, to bring humanity to shopping through AI, through computer vision, natural language processing, large language models, to really bridge that gap for retailers. A good example, right? You could see, and this is a real life example from back in the day from a customer we were speaking to. They're positioning something as a midnight navy French terry athleisure. The customer's looking for a navy hoodie. Yeah, like something as real as that.
Yeah.
And why is that happening? Obviously, why is there the gap between the inspiration, which brands do very well, versus the application, execution of it? And that's really where Lily AI built a technology and an offering that helps bridge that gap, that can be used across multiple use cases to drive 8-9 figure revenue uplift for brands. And that compelling story is kind of what led me down this path to join Lily and help the company grow from here.
It really is an amazing story of how you use this massively complex technology to do something that is so simple. It's like, help me find, just help me. And that's what's magical about AI, right? I mean, over the past year, so many people have experienced it through ChatGPT and Claude and other generative AI tools. But AI has been around in things that we use every day for quite some time, like Google Maps or your smart thermostat, right? Can you talk about how you're seeing AI being used in other practical applications in e-commerce, where its capabilities are being tapped to drive incremental sales, especially in iffy economic times like we've got right now?
Yeah, absolutely. AI is certainly not new, and Lily's been around for 8 years, right? So I think people have been inundated with a lot of shiny object syndrome of late, right? But Lily's been around for 8 years, and AI is not new. Folks have used it across various elements for data and optimization, right? But where there is immediate, tangible, easy access, like low-hanging fruit, for example, would be looking at on-site search. A great use case we use. It's not by any means the only thing we do, but it's a great use case, right? As I gave that example with the Navy hoodie, if you take a look at other industries we service, beauty and home, let's take a beauty, stay in place, flawless wear, cashmere matte foundation is where, maybe something that the brand used to describe a product, where someone is looking for lightweight summer foundation. So what we have done, leveraging our suite of computer vision, which essentially what we're doing is taking an image and taking a text, right? So image and text, putting that through our RA model and enriching the attribution to be very relevant for consumers. So that could be applied in an example as fast as 4 weeks in on-site search. And that's where a lot of brands came to us pre-peak saying, hey, I want to maximize this in peak. And by doing that, when customers are coming in and using their regular, natural way of discovering product, it's becoming more relevant for them. The search results are becoming more relevant for them. They're discovering product much easier. And that's where a lot of our brands, when we take a look at individual brands, looking at uplift of 29 million just by improving that one use case. And it's not the only use case.
Yeah.
Take out the multi-retail brands and department stores, the results could be close to 70 million in uplift by doing that. And this is a very simple, easy use case of leveraging the AI, which is not new to many companies as a concept, but certainly in this application, there are e-commerce use cases, and on-site search just being one of them, where this becomes a very easy, light, application to use and get immediate results and then build from there.
Right. Yeah. And one of the things I find really fascinating is how you've used your technology so that it can sort of understand cultural trends, even like quiet luxury or clean girl or even Barbiecore. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's a really exciting area, and one that our clients really prioritize, talk about at almost every single touch point we have with them. You have to think of it, trends always existed and trends have always been relevant, especially in retail, right? But trends were typically done at a very macro level, coming from the industry, coming from certain, personalities. If that's been flipped on its head with social media, especially TikTok, it's become bi-directional now. You got influencers, you got individuals creating these trends. And why these are so important is because that's how today's shopper is looking for many of the things that they're looking to buy. That's how they're searching for them. That's what's inspiring them, right? And it is very difficult for retailers to operationalize these trends. You mentioned Barbiecore, like the spike in search for Barbiecore was months
out of nowhere
before the movie,
yeah.
Right? So the brands and retailers we work with, helping them operationalize that, saw significant speed to market and being an early adopter and capturing that audience and revenue, right? And that was, reported by Women's Wear Daily on how Bloomingdale's really capitalized and crushed it with Barbiecore, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you'd be surprised. Not to criticize them particularly, if you were to go to Net-a-Porter right now and type quiet luxury for any of the Succession fans like myself, where that became even more popular, nothing comes up. And they have tons and tons of products that their customers are looking for that fit into that. And that's where the key is optimizing and operationalizing the trends, and now understanding the scale of it, because it's bi-directional. You have to look at this daily, weekly, monthly, where that may not have been the case 30 years ago. So that's an area we have focused on heavily. We have a very large team of domain experts across beauty, fashion, and home. They're kind of segmented by the categories. They look at macro and micro trends, textile and color trends, social media trends, fads versus mainstream versus classic trends. And we really feed ongoing insight and recommendations, and we help them and we help our brands and clients operationalize them and create relevant, curated assortments that would fit into those trends. And that's a huge component of what we do. Because when we talk about optimizing attribution as a whole, right, it's not just like, okay, this is a turtleneck versus a V-neck. Those are key core attributes, but it's about also what our technology can do in building with subjective attributes, occasions, styles. Those are the ways that shoppers are looking at things, as well as trends. So when you kind of put that as part of the whole picture, that's what we really mean by saying enriching the attributes for our brands.
Wow. So it's both, trends and also understanding sort of how people are talking about them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so, I mean, are there other, you mentioned sort of the other areas of clients' businesses, when you operationalize this, can you talk about like how you're seeing them take advantage of this sort of injection of consumer language in other areas beyond e-commerce?
Yeah. So I mentioned on-site search, right? Because it's
Yeah.
such a low-hanging fruit and it's so measurable. Like,
Right.
we lift, turn it on, test it for free. In 4 weeks, you're going to see we gave you a lift of 5%, 7% revenue, right? Easy. But where the customer language, the customer language is important across the entire retail value chain. And it impacts your retail value chain, both from a revenue opportunity, but from an efficiency and margin opportunity across not just on-site search, SEO, SEM, filters and faceting, recommendations, right? So full e-com use cases, like multiple e-com use cases. But where it gets even better is going further up the retail value chain in the assortment planning and demand forecasting. Those have been areas of emerging interest for us and have provided massive margin improvement for some of the brands that we've worked with. A multi-brand client of ours was able to capture 48 million in top line revenue by leveraging these attributes in their forecasting models. Another brand of ours, the very large global brand, was able to save. So they look at weight, right? Weighted absolute percentage error. To reduce that by 20% by leveraging the attributes further up in the value chain. And that's equal to 300 million in margin savings. Wow. So there is the client-facing portion where you kind of see on the search, on the SEO, when you're looking and discovering a product, and then there is the assortment planning and demand forecasting area, whereby taking and leveraging our attributes at the sketch level now, not further down, you can have significant margin optimization. So I mean, sky's the limit for where you can use the consumer language in your retail value chain.
Wow, that's amazing case studies. I mean, so obviously, there's this huge opportunity for these businesses. I mean, I remember, back in the day, there were different trend forecasting, organizations, but what you've got is like this really targeted, focused trend forecaster that is at your side through your whole business. I mean, how are people responding, when you talk to them about this as a value prop, your process?
So there's a healthy level of excitement and skepticism.
Yeah.
The excitement is everybody understands the problem. It's not one of those you have to explain it to anyone.
Yeah.
So there's a healthy level of excitement. There is I think there's an appetite now to look at emerging technologies. A lot of boards and CEOs have AI strategy. So there's a lot of excitement. And I think the key thing for them is to make sure that they're aligned across all their key stakeholders, whether it's the finance, the marketing, the planning side, the buy side. When we talk about it, we talk about the make, market, sell, right? There needs to be across all of those segments alignment. And that's where I think folks are super excited, but being selective of how they move forward with an AI provider and strategy. I think there's always skepticism because there is a lot of like, oh yeah, we use ChatGPT and all that. We have a solution, but in reality, it's not actually purpose built for retail. It's not specific to and relevant to drive revenue, right? So we're getting a lot of excitement. We're getting a lot of momentum that we're seeing in the industry today, and we're working through this with the retailers to help them identify what problem they're looking to solve for in the short term and in the long term, and what the best use case to leverage is us for. And that's actually allowed us to drive new products. So, a lot of folks have come to us and said they needed help with product content generation. And they're like, I don't want to just use ChatGPT because it's not
Right.
relevant and retail specific. So this is where, we have a product content generation solution that we've deployed, where we may use other generative AI solutions just for efficiency.
Right.
But we leverage our expertise, our retail expertise, our data points, our domain expertise, our human training, to provide much more relevant copy for title and description that are going to be revenue drivers, that are going to improve click-through rates and things like that. So there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of, I don't know where to start. We try to help brands do that. And from that, it's helped us continue to innovate with leveraging our proprietary data of over 3 billion data points to continue to drive more application and use cases in that entire retail value chain.
It's amazing. It's a solution looking for problems, and you find them throughout the organization. That's really awesome. You mentioned different organizations are at different stages in their journey. How do you advise them, about like where do you start, with an AI strategy and an implementation plan?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Bain on this. Don't wait, get moving with AI, right? So like, get started, move fast, do test. I think one of the biggest mistakes leaders can do is not test enough.
Mm.
And that's really the message we try to portray. And that's why we do offer kind of initial use cases and ones that can be tested and measured, right? And we have a measurement methodology that brands sign up to, can test it and see, okay, this did that for me. So the test in itself pays for everything that we charge later on, because it's already proven, right? And then some. But we try to start with a proven use case in e-com. It's an easy thing to start. We don't rip and replace anything you're doing today. We don't rip and replace your search engine, nothing, your PIM, nothing. So CFOs love to hear that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You're not going to find a CFO. But we don't. So it's an easy use case, whether it's SEO or SCM or whether it's on-site search. Like, you can test that in a matter of weeks and go and see that. So we say, look, get started with something measurable, get started fast, and get everybody aligned. Successful transformation in the business is cross-functional, as I mentioned. So it's important to get that and understand what are the biggest problems we're trying to solve. Is it the data? Is it from the data side? Is it data accuracy, which is one of the biggest things people come for us as well? Not just revenue generation, but data accuracy. Is that what you're looking to solve for? Are you looking to improve your shopping experience and capture more revenue for peak? Trying to understand that and get the key stakeholders aligned. And that's where we land on the immediate use case. I think another advice I'd give everybody is to stay abreast of the regulatory and legislative developments. The tech is evolving so fast, like we've never seen before. And we keep saying that every year. So it's not going to slow down anytime soon. And I think it's important for everyone to hold ourselves accountable to ensuring safe, responsible, and ethical use of AI in the business. I follow a number of thought leaders in the space, including Sam Altman. I think it's good to stay abreast of things, but those are some things we talk to at the executive level, which is mostly where our conversations are, because of, I think, the importance of the consumer language, and I think the emphasis on it now to everybody that's trying to run a more profitable, scalable business.
Yeah. And, so we talked a little bit about how AI is giving brands an edge, in this high stakes holiday season. As you look ahead, what do you see as the potential for AI to just continue to transform retail experiences?
Yeah. I mean, it really depends on who you ask and what, where their priority is. But I think for sure, I was at a conference the other couple of weeks ago where, personalization is going to be key, right? How can AI transform real personalization across your touch points with the consumer? When you take a look at the search experience, it's looking like it's going to become a lot more conversational, right?
Yeah.
Where, you know, it, I don't know what I want. I know what I want to accomplish. So, if I'm looking for a vacation, if I'm looking for a product, if I'm looking for this, hey, I want to, I'm looking for a destination that accomplishes A, B, and C because this is the occasion, this is my budget, and that's where people start offering up experiences and opportunities to to help you find what you're looking for. So when we take a look at the sector we're in, like that's the direction we're going, and at the core of everything is the consumer language. It is understanding the consumer language and how that maps back to truly what they're trying to accomplish when they're buying this product or that experience, right? So I think the application of AI in retail is going to continue to increase, and I think that's going to happen across all industries and all sectors that are serviced by so many things to improve overall efficiency, scale, accuracy, data integrity, right? All of these things in one way, shape, or form, if not already, AI is going to play a major part in that.
Yeah. I'd love an AI to translate my Gen Z kids to, so that'd be very helpful. If you see that, let me know.
Maybe a project for Alexa, right?
Yeah.
Alexa, translates for you and vice versa, right?
Exactly. Here's what I want to say. So last question. So what are the 3 actions that you'd advise our viewers to take today?
3 actions. So I mean, I think since we're on the topic of AI, take a look at one. If you're in retail, go shop your experience.
Yep.
Put in some of the examples I mentioned here or similar, and see what happens. We've spoken to the biggest and largest and most resourced brands and retailers in the world, and they are still struggling with many things for good reason. I think there's a lot of reason for it, and I think that this is where technology can step in. So for one, I'd say take a look at your experience for your consumers' experience today across search, across on-site search, across SEO, across filter and facets, and take a look at how you manage trends. Those are key and real value drivers. And depending on what you find, take a look at providers that can really help you with that. Take a look at partners that can really help you with that. So I think absolutely have a pulse on your consumer and what they experience today, for not just for this conversation, just in general.
Sure.
Definitely weed out the real providers versus the contenders, because you're gonna get inundated with a lot. So I think take a look at a lot of in key influencers and thought leaders in the space, think tanks that are out there, some academic institutions, and what they're kind of talking about AI to really help you get information and really shape your strategy going forward, particularly as it pertains to AI. Those are some things that I would recommend. And I think I'll say it again: test and learn. Not testing enough wisely is a bigger mistake than testing, and seeing what is working and what isn't working and what's driving value and how to apply that. I think that is something that is obviously now peak is getting. We're already entering peak, but as you should really start planning now for the technologies you want to implement next year. So the time is now to kind of start vetting that and hit the ground running, be it January or February, depending on fiscal and year ends. But I would definitely advise to get started now, to leverage the great resources out there, to look at your current experience in different areas and kind of see it and see where you want to prioritize your efforts for next year, and test and learn.
Yeah. There is nothing like eating your own dog food, right? Exactly. Be the customer. Yeah, that's great. And then be skeptical too when you're talking to vendors who promise the sun and the moon, because it's a challenge. But I mean, you guys are just doing amazing stuff, and it is so exciting to see. Ahmed, it has been great talking, and I learned a lot. I'm sure our viewers did too. Lily AI is a really exciting player, and if people want to reach out to you to learn more, how can they get in touch?
Probably email is the easiest way. My email is as easy as it gets. It's my first name, Ahmed, @lily.ai. So that's the easiest way to reach me, or find me on LinkedIn. But yeah, thank you so much, Mark. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. Great to connect with you again. It's been a few months since we've last connected, and our time together at ESW. So I really appreciate connecting with you as well, and the opportunity to speak to the listeners today.
Great. Thank you so much for being my guest today. It was a treat.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.